I think that's a point you're touching on. And that really will depend on how long this conflict.
Exactly.
That will depend on how long. But let me build on what Alex said
says, yeah.
and go back into a bit of history.
Yeah.
The current Prime Minister of Israel was vociferous in influencing the invasion of Iraq, 2003. We know Netanyahu. We know that at the end of it, more than 1 million people were killed. But more than that, it radicalized some elements who then exploited religion because they saw it as an attack on their faith. That gave birth to ISIS. Why am I bringing this into the conversation? There were terrorist attacks around the world, and we were still in West Africa trying to understand exactly where this was going. The point and the short story of it is the ISIS then gave birth to the affiliations of Jenin, the Greater Islamic State of the Sahara, and all the terrorist groups that are now active to the extent that our region, particularly the Sahel, is the global epicenter of terrorism.
And you trace it all the way back
completely
to that single action that Netanyahu was involved in.
Exactly. That built on to the point in which, though ISIS was curtailed, it had unleashed its venom and potential, and we are still having the effects in West Africa. Our democratic project of regional integration, the economists will talk about 350 million West Africa's trading and etc., has been halted. 3 of our key member states have left. And for us in Ghana...
Fundamentally because of insecurity.
Insecurity.
That really fueled the rise of these military leaders who came promising that they can deal with the insecurity.
Exactly. The first argument of the military leaders was that the civilians were not taking the fight to the terrorists. So they overthrew the civilian leaders to have a revolutionary transition to fight head on. And in our case, were it not for Captain Ibrahim Traoré leading the effort in Burkina Faso, we could have had incursions already. But even without Ghana having those incursions, my home region, the Upper East Boku, it's knocking every day. And so you trace it back to the consequence of how conflict, when prolonged, it does not just have the economic impact, it halts so many development projects, including constitutional rule, democracy, development, and we're still struggling with that. And that is why, if we have this second wave going to prolong itself because others then get involved, then only God knows where the trajectory is. Because what we have experienced could be nothing compared with what is happening.
And you're right, because often Africa then becomes the stage for nurturing all these groups that obviously because of their hatred for Israel and the West, we sort of get in the middle, which is what you talked about, the Sahelian groups that were all inspired by.
Yes, and Alex threw in the Libyan factor, which I do not build on. But